Consistency. I think we all agree that the hardest part of learning a language is being consistent and actually getting the job done. While there are many things that can be really frustrated, like not understanding grammar or not being able to memorize certain words, the hardest part is always trying to be consistent with it. You know, I'm always talking about creating study plans and all of that, but that is useless if you don't know how to be consistent and if you don't know how to actually get things done. So today I'm going to debunk some myths regarding consistency in language learning, and I'm going to share with you what are the practical things that you can do to be more consistent. But before we jump into that, I'm very excited to share with you that this Saturday, September 26, 2020, I'm gonna be doing a live event. It's completely free and you can register in the description box down below. What I'm gonna be sharing is my 4-step strategy to learn any language. So that's how I plan, how I learn, how I share my language learning, and how I evaluate and review my language learning. So I'm gonna be diving deep into all of those topics. So if you're into that, go register for my event. If you're watching this after the date, don't worry, you can register for the replay as well. So first of all, let's talk about what is one piece of bad advice that I used to give people, but that I don't agree with anymore. I think it's very popular and we all have this conception that we should study languages 1 hour a day, every day. So there are two parts of this idea. First, I do believe that if you can study 1 hour a day every single day, you will progress really, really fast. And I think that's absolutely something that can be beneficial. However, what I don't want you to think is that that is the only way that you can study and that is the only definition of being consistent when learning a language. There are many ways that you can include language learning into your life, and you don't necessarily need to study 1 hour a day every single day. Some of us don't have the time or the concentration or the willing power to do that. So how can we redefine all of these so we can be consistent within our own terms, which is what I stand for. I really, really believe that people telling you should study 1 hour a day every single day is not taking in consideration that we all have different lives, that we all have different goals, and that not all of us learn languages the exact same way. There have been periods of my life where I have studied intensively for maybe a week, 2 weeks, a month. And that is something that I think it's very powerful. I really love doing some ultra learning project every now and then. And if you want me to share with you some of the intensive projects that I've done, or whenever I do an intensive project and how that's helped me and how you can do one too, let me know in the comments so I can prepare that video sooner than later. So in a nutshell, 1 hour a day every single day works. Of course it's gonna work, but it's not for everyone. So do I study 3 languages every single day? Of course not. That's impossible for me. Might be possible for you, but it's impossible for me because I have many things to do throughout the day. And I also sometimes just want to chill and play video games or talk with my boyfriend or go out for a drink. So yeah, sometimes I just don't want to study. That's completely normal, that's completely fine. Okay, but if I'm not studying every day my 3 languages, what am I doing instead? How am I getting some progress? Because of course, I always tell you, you have to get some exposure and you have to get continuous exposure to the language in order to improve. There is a need for consistency when you learn a language, but how that consistency is gonna look like will depend on many, many things. What I want you to do is actually come up with your own definition of consistency. And I want you to take in consideration what your goals are, if you have a deadline for those goals or not, what you want to achieve it, why you want to achieve it, what sort of activities you're gonna be learning, all that stuff. It's very important for you to define what consistency means to you and what is realistic within your lifestyle and within your day-to-day routine. The idea of defining our own concept of consistency is to help us really create more realistic schedules that are going to help us stay motivated for the longest. And this is really important because if you're trying to follow someone else's idea of consistency and you're comparing yourself all the time to what other people are doing, you're setting yourself up for failure because you're not allowing yourself to study the best way you possibly can. You're studying under someone else's rules, and that just doesn't work because that other person may have more time, they might learn faster or slower, they might have a native language that makes them easier for them to learn a language for a longer time, they might be more advanced, more beginner, any amount of things that will change how we decide on how consistent we are. So I'm going to share with you my example and my idea of consistency. And also I want to let you know that my idea of consistency changes a lot throughout life, and it has changed a lot depending on how many times my life have changed, which has been quite a bit in the last few years. So right now my idea of consistency is to learn my main language from Monday to Friday every single day in the morning time. At this moment, it's again German because that's the one language that I want to really improve and push forward before the year ends. Now, for the other two languages that I'm learning, which are Japanese and Portuguese, what I try to do is to do at least 2 to 3 times a week. I try to make some time at noon after I eat lunch to maybe review a few things or study a few things. And here I'm talking about studying, like actually sitting down and studying. That's a lot of time, right? So I'm setting my idea of how consistent I want to be based on how many times I want to study throughout the week. I also try to maintain my other languages, maybe try to have a conversation or read or watch a video once a week, once every other week. I'm not very strict with my maintenance languages. I'm way more so strict with the ones that I'm really focusing on right now. But I also try to have contact with my main language every single day. I will just do something like maybe do some flashcards, or maybe watch a video, or maybe listen to music. So things that don't take up any more of my time, that are very passive. So little things that I can do throughout the day to stay in contact with those languages that I'm learning. Another way that I help myself stay consistent is by having accountability from my language learning partners, from my friends, and from the people at my membership site, the Polyglot Union. I also need to pull off a lot of willpower, which is not always easy, but being connected with my goal and learning with a purpose, knowing why I learn languages, understanding why I learn specifically each language and what it is and what are the things that I want to achieve with each language also helps me be like, okay, yes, I actually want to study this language and I actually want to get better because I want to do so and so. To me, consistency is key. We need continued exposure to learn languages, but you can define your own definition of consistency, and I absolutely think you should, because we all have different lives, we all have different goals, and if we all abide to that rule, is that a word, abide? If we all follow that rule of of trying to learn 1 hour a day every single day, and we don't do it, we're gonna feel unmotivated and we're gonna quit faster. So I want you to come up with your own idea of consistency. That's the most important thing. If you do anything today regarding your language learning, do that if you haven't already. But also remember that at different stages of our language learning process, we need more or less contact with the language. When languages are in the beginner stage, we normally need to pay, I always say they're kind of needy. They need a lot of our attention. They need us to really be there, because otherwise we will forget about them. And as you grow, the more space you can have between each study session, and the more space you can have between memorizing and using and getting in contact with the language. That's at least my perspective on it. Now, if you want to be more consistent, of course, you're also gonna need to do a study plan. So here are some videos about it, and you can also check out my routines and everything I do with language learning. And don't forget to sign up for my event live if you are able to catch it live. Honestly, it's gonna be the best because I'm gonna be able to answer all of your questions, since I'm gonna be doing a Q&A at the very end. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because I will continue to make language learning videos. Bye!